how UConn is playing the NIL game differently and how Dan Hurley and staff are likely going to be there when it's all said and done for a chance to win it all. You're on the Hoops Cap.
Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby. Home of the champions. Let's go.
All right, welcome into the Hoops Cap pod, powered by Big East Energy Network, BigEastEnergy.com, and sponsored by our buddy Joey Bellbonds. If you need his services, 860-916-6747. We hope you don't, but if you do, we have your back with Joey Bellbonds there. Look, UConn is playing, as the kids say, chess while others are playing checkers. And they're not chasing the NIL arms race. Like initially, they did their due diligence on Darian Williams. They did their due diligence on Peja Stojakovic's kid. Did their due diligence on a few different bigger names in the portal. And I have on good authority that they just felt really comfortable with who they have coming back. But also, the roles that they have defined are roles with guys who have championship DNA, of which under the radar front court transfers could potentially round out this UConn 2025 roster is really kind of all they're going for. All you need for this is the evidence that's right in front of you, which is from Steph Castle's unselfish rise, when he was on this team, to even going further back, not necessarily far enough back when I was a kid, but just look at not the last title run, the title before that, title number 5, the one that everyone was just like, oh man, you'll never see that again. And then they did it again the following year. I think when you look at this, there's a reason why UConn isn't throwing wild NIL money at the top transfers. And it's not because they can't, it's because they don't need to. Dan Hurley and staff, Tom Moore, the GM, are looking at the landscape and saying, we can win another national title, but we're not compromising the identity that got us here. They didn't go portal crazy in the past. They made strategic portal moves. Why? Because they didn't have to. They retained who they wanted, much like this year, landed their portal targets, even much like last year. It didn't work out last year, and it's not always going to work out. But they landed who they thought was going to be their portal targets. And that's really how they play this game. And so for anybody that jumps in my mentions or talks about how UConn's losing the arms race to St. John's or Creighton or others in the college basketball landscape, I say to them, let them. Sometimes it's addition by subtraction. So they retain who they want. They bring in a top 10 recruiting class. Some have it in the top 5. And the core is already here. They bring in the most impactful class, or a top 2 impactful transfer portal class, according to Evan Miyakawa, evanmia.com, with Silas Damari Jr., Damari. I'm so confused on whether I'm saying that right, and Malachi Smith, basically solving all of their point guard issues from last year, as long as they stay healthy. And he withdrew from the NBA, so he's officially a UConn Husky. So welcome to the team, Silas. And here's what really matters at UConn. Everyone, follow me here, and we've said this before with Matt Edwards of Dream Season Pod, is a role player. That's not a demotion. That's a blueprint. Everyone has a role. Who does that sound like? A team I hate in the NFL, the New England Patriots. You do your job the Patriot way. It's really just kind of like the professional way. I'll give you a shorthand of that. That's what every coach wants for their team. Not every team executes it to perfection the way they did for years up in Foxborough. So think about this. From Adama Sanogo, could have easily been one of these guys who were like, oh, you're going to bring in Donovan Clingan? Yeah, I'm going to pout. Nope. I'm going to outwork him. I'm going to start. He's going to back me up. This is a guy now, Adama, who's not playing in the NBA because he was on a two-way contract and got released by the Bulls, at least currently. And a guy in Donovan who was a top 10 pick and now is the second team all-rookie team on defense. So that's the type of mentality you have to play at UConn. Steph Castle is another perfect example. We've talked about him when he won Rookie of the Year in the NBA. He came in as a 5-star with every right, according to a lot of people, to demand touches and attention. Instead, what did he do? He adapted, he blended, he assimilated, he became a Swiss Army knife in a system with Tristan Newton and Cam Spencer, two guys with chips on their shoulders and games that demanded respect, especially Tristan. Castle didn't crumble. He thrived because he bought into his role. And go back a year further, 22-23. Guys like Naheem Aline, Joey Calcaterra didn't need headlines. They needed minutes, and they maximized them. Instant offense, smart defense, winning plays. They were the reason that the bench didn't dip. And you had guys like Rick Pitino when he was at Iona saying their second five is as good as their starting five. Like there's no drop off. So this isn't some kind of strategy shift. People have asked me about that. It's not. It's a refinement. It's really kind of looking at the landscape and seeing what people are worth. If you're going to sit there and tell me that PJ Haggerty, who UConn played against when they lost to Memphis and Maui, is worth $4 or $5 million to come and run your program, he's not. Spoiler alert, that's going to end poorly. Because the moment you do that at this level, and I'm going to sound super old and I'm playing to, I guess, my audience, but the moment you open the door to compromise what's essentially your way of life, you immediately compromise all of the foundation that you've built in the 5+ years that Dan Hurley's been at UConn. You can't now say, all right, now we're going to open up the checkbook. This is Moneyball. And it's not about outspending. Hell, if the Yankees or the Dodgers have taught anybody anything in baseball, you don't need all the money in the world to compete. It helps. I mean, the Dodgers seem to get everybody because they have the most money to spend. But there's something about a culture that you bring that you want to be a part of something. And now I'm going to piss off Mets fans. You can kind of see it in now. Listen, no one's going to cry a river for Juan Soto, who just signed a $765 million 16 to 15-year contract. He's making $51 million a year. Uncle Sam's going to take a nice chunk of that himself. But wouldn't he have preferred, if you had his druthers, to one less year, a little less money every year, $47 million, to play with a Yankee team that gives you the best chance to win a World Series? Some guys choose money over titles. Some guys choose the easy route, and some people take the difficult route. If you come to UConn, it's not going to be easy. But the reward at the end is if you make a Final Four at UConn, you're not leaving without a ring. So it's where we're winning in the margins is what's so important when it comes to this back end of the roster. Finding smart winning players. They've done it for years. Have they always been right? No. Listen, Naheem Alim's a great example. Was phenomenal for us in 22-23. Was sold kind of a bill of goods by Rick Pitino to come down to Queens and transfer over and get a shit ton more playing time. He did not. It was about the same. And he could have been a part of a back-to-back winning national championship team. Instead, he went to St. John's. Not the smartest move. But Naheem, always a Husky. Fantastic 22-23. Didn't love you leaving in 23-24. That's life. Choices, consequences, cause and effect. So again, some guys choose one road. Like what's Robert Frost, the road less traveled, or two roads, and you come to a fork in the road and you have to choose whether or not you're going to meet the obstacle head on, or cower away and fade off into existence, aka transfer. And for those men who decided to transfer away, it wasn't all about not meeting the obstacle head on, but for some, it probably was. And I'll let you guys decide on who you think I'm talking about in that regard. But the one thing I do know is no matter whether you're having a good day, a bad day, everything's going perfect for you, you're on a team that just won a national championship, you root for a team that maybe is in the Eastern Conference Finals, like a lot of our friends who are Knicks fans, the world keeps turning, keeps moving forward, and we're going to talk about the names to watch, roster depth, some backup bigs, and the role of Eric Reibe in all of this coming up. We're going to talk about that after a short break.
Big East Energy. Ryan Gresh here with the Feel Good Lab. And the same tools that we use to help elite athletes like Hassan Diarra, Nika Mule, and our very own Cam Spencer are the same things that we use to help people like you and I. People that want to optimize their overall health, feel a little bit younger, or are suffering from a chronic condition. And it's all about reducing inflammation, improving the nutrients in our body, and fixing our gut. And the way that we do that is not through a one-size-fits-all model. Everything is personalized. We offer products that are plant-based, natural, and help you identify the root cause. And oftentimes, we're looking at what's going into our body. So we have a food inflammation test, a gut microbiome test, so that we can treat you like an individual human that you are. And so the thing that we're the most excited about is actually connecting with you. Whether you're a UConn fan or not, please reach out, call us. We'd love to talk with you and see how we can help. Best in health.
So if you're going to go to thefeelgoodlab.com and you find something that you like and you love, or you want to talk to Ryan, make sure you reach out to him. But go to Big East Energy, or pardon me, when you go to feelgoodlab.com, Big East Energy for 15% off at checkout. So let's say you get an inflammation cream or a gut microbiome test, and you go and see the checkout, and you go, oh, I thought I got a 15% discount. Type in the code Big East Energy for 15% off at checkout. Okay. Also, would be remiss if I didn't say Joey Bail Bonds. If you need his help, and we hope you don't, call 860-916-6747. He is always available, always on. Joey Bail Bonds. Make sure you check him out if you need him. If you don't, you can say hi to him at UConn games. He's usually courtside, and can't miss him. Big dude. All right. Hoops Capital Pod, powered by Big East Energy on the Big East Energy Network. We're super excited to continue to give you guys the coverage you deserve from the Hoops Capital of the world, the 18-time national champion UConn men's and women's basketball programs. So, who are the names to watch in this back end of the transfer portal on the men's side to potentially fill out what's likely going to be Frontcourt's piece that's still not necessarily in flux, but with Terrace and five-star freshman Eric Reibe ready to step in, they need a third big. Maybe Dan and them have another thought contingency plan if they don't bring somebody in, and maybe that means you're putting Karoma with the bigs to play a little small ball. Maybe you're going to ask Alex to do something similar that he did, or what I thought he was going to do this year when the guard rotation really didn't work out. But last year, kind of showed what happens when depth disappears. Yusef Singarli barely played. I don't know if that was just based off of his performance or they just didn't feel like he was ready to contribute. He transfers at the end of the year. Hassan Diarra was being asked to carry more than he really should have, not because he couldn't handle it, but because others didn't take the reins. And also it got him hurt. The extra minutes wore on his body. But again, UConn Warrior, Hassan Diarra, much love to you. So this year, it's really clear, at least from Tom Moore's initial comments to us about a month ago, that the back end of the roster will be filled with grinders, and not the grinders that Jim Calhoun was talking about, that local Connecticut folks will know about, subs or whatnot. We're talking about guys who will grind possession after possession, guys who push the starters in practice, who fit the system, smart, winning players that are dependable, tough, stay ready if the number is called. They're not looking for stars. They're looking for function. And for functional players, meaning that if somebody was to go down, you can plug and play, and you don't lose much. Maybe you lose some production, but you have to find it in other places, and this person can come in and give you that type of functionality. And there are some potential fits I'm watching right now. I think this is how you pronounce his name. Larry Olayanki out of Samford. He's a 6'10" shot blocker. Looks like he's trying to push his game a little bit beyond what it is right now, beyond the paint and that type of player that the NBA teams really covet. So I know they're interested. I know that they are looking at him. It could be an opportunity for Larry to come in here and create a name for himself at UConn as the first, 5 off the bench. That could be a potential. Another name that's not a front court player, but a backcourt, another kind of backup guard. They had some ties to Armani Ziegler, who ended up going to Ball State because he felt like he was going to get a better opportunity to play, which is true. But there's another kind of similar style guard, a little shorter. Maybe it's a little more feasible that they bring him in because he's not the athlete that Armani is. Alec Millender is a guy who UConn likes out of IU Indianapolis of the Horizon League. He's about a 6'1.5" guard, averages 8.2 points, 3.5 assists, shot at almost 44% from 3. Could be an insurance plan for injury, just another veteran to push the young cats and push for minutes if in case they need to. Then a few names that I feel are also, not are NIL neutral, essentially. You have Justin Vander. He's a 7-footer from Lafayette. 1 year left of eligibility, originally from Massachusetts, started at Boston College, brings his experience and length. I think a low maintenance insurance policy, another 7-footer in the mix. Then you have a couple more guys around that same 6'11", 7-foot. Malcolm Wilson, 6'11", started at Georgetown, spent last season at Queens College in Charlotte. He's a senior. He's tough. He's familiar with the Big East grind, although he may want to stay away from it having played at Georgetown. No disrespect to our soon-to-be Georgetown podcast. Then the last one here, the fifth name that I'm watching, and it's a very intriguing one. It kind of reminds me of the Tyler Betsy one. Now, Tyler Betsy is not coming to UConn. I don't even know if he ended up going someplace else. I'm going to look that up really quick. But it's Josh Gray. And the reason why I'm curious about him is because he went to by the way, Tyler Betsy went to Syracuse. So good for them. They got a good prospect, Connecticut Player of the Year, 4-star. Good for him. But the reason why I like Josh Gray out of Missouri is it's probably the most intriguing name for me. 7-footer from Putnam Science Academy. UConn offered him back in 2020. He's got 1 year left. Has the body to spell terrace and bang inside. He played in the SEC. It's a good stopgap because a guy like Eric looks at a guy like Josh Gray and goes, whatever. He's gonna be here a year. I'm paraphrasing. I don't necessarily know if Eric thinks that at all. But there's less competition there, and in the reality of things, I think Eric is more of a 4, and I think he's going to have to learn some of the principles of playing the 5 because even as a stretch 5 in a less physical 5, you still have to have that positional versatility. He's a 7-footer that's more guard-like. He's almost like a 7-foot Alex Caravan in that respect, where he's got some ability to put the ball on the deck, but they're probably not going to have him do a ton of that. But that wouldn't surprise me if they did a lot of flare screens, a lot of horn sets where he has the ability to do either, pick and pop, pick and roll, where he's reading the defense based off of their drop or their hedge coverage. And so I wouldn't rule out a Reibe Reed on the floor together, because the difference between Eric Reibe and Terrace Reed on the floor together and Samson Johnson and Terrace Reed on the floor together is Samson is not a threat from beyond the arc versus Eric Reibe is. So you can put your 6'10", 270-pound center in your 7-foot, 230-pound power forward at the same time, because they can still spread the floor and create that spacing that Dan Hurley loves, right? So that double big lineup isn't really bigs. It's more just players who have versatility, especially if Reibe adapts quickly. And even if they bring in, one of these kids to back up, like a true backup 5, the message really won't change, right? Know your role, star in it, push your teammates every single day, because that's how titles are built, not bought. And even in today's day and age where championships are standard, are the standard, and everyone is gonna focus on how much NIL, continues to be pushed out there. When it comes down to it, the outlier for me in all of this is when you look at the Final Four of last year. Duke was the outlier because they spend $15 to $20 million. They have a hedge fund that deals with this. Go check it out. They fund their basketball team to the highest level. Then you have Florida, which has SEC football money. Now, I don't think they're touching what Duke did at $20 million, but it's up there. It's probably, these rosters are going to be in the $6, $7, $8 million range, and I bet you that's what Florida's was last year. Houston, definitely not spending a ton of money. That's more of a culture build. What am I missing? Of the Final Four teams last year, you had Duke and Houston, and you had Florida and Auburn. Auburn again, SEC money. You'd like to think that they have all the money in the world, but I mean, your boy Chad Baker-Mazzaro in his 12th year at 27 years old, and by the way, good for him. They keep paying you. Keep going back, man. Don't change. Why would you ask for more responsibility when you can keep playing basketball for a living at a place like Auburn? And I forget where he went, but either way, he transferred out, so it's not like they have unlimited money to retain everybody, but they do fine. And that's SEC money, and that's not going anywhere. So UConn doesn't really feel like they're playing on an even playing field with that because they don't want to. And I don't mean that in a really negative sense. It's because, what's the benefit of UConn funding the basketball program at a level that essentially starts to chip away at the culture that Dan Hurley has created? And I can tell you this right now. I know there's people probably rolling their eyes at that, or they're just done with the show. It's like, oh man, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That may be true. I can accept that if you don't like that take. But I can guarantee you, if I ask Dan Hurley tomorrow, you could win a championship two ways. One, with guys that you retained and a couple of extra portal mercenaries in freshmen, or you could blow up the whole thing. We guarantee you at least the Final Four, and then the chips fall where they may. Which would he choose? Which would he choose? The guarantee of the Final Four, and you basically have two wins with guys who you're not 100% comfortable with, even though they're really talented? Or would you say, okay, you go through a whole year with your guys, the guys that you handpicked, the guys that you brought in here, and now you're at the tournament and you're anywhere between a 2 and a 4 seed, and you get a chance to win a national championship, but you're with your guys, not the mercenaries. What would you choose? I think he goes with, he trusts himself and his ability to play to get his guys in the right spot, and they make a run at it. That's my thought. Maybe we'll ask him that question in the future. All right, this has been another episode of the Hoops Cap Pod, powered by Big East Energy. If you need Joey Bell-Bonds, he's there for you, 860-916-6747. Go check out Ryan Gresh in the Feel Good Lab if you have anything wrong with you, from a stomach issue to you have tennis elbow or you have a crick in your neck. Get it checked out. They got creams for it. You can run some tests on you, get you all squared away. Be the best optimized human you could possibly be. And that's all we're trying to do here at the Hoops Capital and at Big East Energy Network. You know what it is. Go Huskies.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby.